Okay. I should be able to close this and still be recording. Okay, fantastic. Okay. So let me start by, let me put on the camera so you guys can see me. Okay, so have you ever been on a boat? Have you ever been fishing on a lake?
Yes.
Okay, so a lot of fishermen like to know where their fish are. So they're going to get in a boat, and at the very front of the boat, there's a little bitty screen, looks like a small phone, a GPS, and sometimes it's 4 inches by 8 inches or something like that. And as they go out across the lake, they go real slow, and this thing is pushing a sonar straight down to the bottom of the lake. And what this is looking for is blips. It breaks in it's where the fish are. So the fishermen don't want to just throw their line into someplace in a hole where there's nothing there. That's a waste of their time and a waste of their day, unless that's what they're looking for, which some fishermen do that. They just go out and fish, just to throw something in the water, which I get, but I don't have time to do that. So if you're going fishing and you need to catch a fish, you want to go where the fish are. The same thing applies for us in real estate. If we're going to put a house on the market, as a listing agent, I think it is so very beneficial for you to know what's selling, what's showing in these neighborhoods. So what I'm going to show you is a real quick trick, and some of you have seen this before. If you've seen it before, I apologize, but this is a good way for us to put it on video and you guys to get accustomed to it. So we're just going to, now I'm going to disappear off the video, and we're going to start by going over to, and I can't do it up there, I got to do it down here. So we go over here on showing time, we go to reports. And once you click reports, you'll go down to the bottom, and there's something called target market analysis. Now, for our Bell County peeps, sorry, showing time does not have this in Bell County. Don't know why, haven't asked, but they don't have it. We have it in the Metroplex, so we're going to use it to the best of our ability. So you're going to click target market analysis, and it pulls this screen up. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is the price range. So let's just say that you're pricing a house. I'm going to use my listing that I put on the market yesterday in North Richland Hills as my example. Now, my house is in Foster Village. If you guys know North Richland Hills, you know Foster Village, no HOA, lots of different neighborhoods in Foster Village. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put in North Richland Hills. Now, sometimes you need to adjust this, kind of like you do your comps. There are times I already have a price point in my head because I've already looked at the comps for this house. But I'm going to put in North Richland Hills, and I know that the house is probably between $350,000 and $400,000. I know that that's what sells in Foster Village because I'm familiar with the neighborhood. So I'm going to go up here and I'm going to start my search down at 325, and then I'm going to go up to 425. The reason that I'm doing that is so that I can use this increment of $5,000. This is going to really zone in on where the buyers are because I can see it in $5,000 increments. Now, I'm going to go ahead and run this search. This is the last 30 days, and this shows me what is actually selling or showing in Foster Village in North Richland Hills. Now, I'm not in Foster Village yet. I'm just in North Richland Hills. So I'm looking at the city. Sometimes you need to look at the zip code. Sometimes you need to look at the subdivision. If you get a real precise subdivision, and then you can go and find the other ones around it, you don't have to use a zip code. You could say Foster Village and Heritage Trace or whatever the next subdivision over is. You can use those, and I'll show you where to do that. For you people in the room, it's right there where it says subdivisions. Okay? You can also use school districts. You can also use areas, but they don't work anymore because we did away with areas in the MLS. So they're still there. They're just, we don't use those areas anymore. You can also use your zip code. If you really wanted to get, this does nothing for showing time because everything that comes through showing time is probably going to be a residential property. So you could do property type there. I've never seen any use out of that. Where I see my most benefit is in the zip code, the city, and the subdivision. So this is what's going on between 325, and you can see that there have been 17 showings here and from 325 to 330. But look how many showings have occurred, almost 60 showings between 345 and 350. That gets real precise. That's because I know where the house is probably going to sell. Now, if you pull this and you go, I don't know this subdivision whatsoever, I don't know anything about it, and then you go in here and start pulling numbers, you can still see what's showing. Then if you want to cross-reference that, you can go into MLS, do an active search over the last 30 days, and you can see the houses that have been active in that 30 days, and then you can see how many showings have occurred. So if you only have 2 houses, they're both priced at $350, and then 57 showings happened on those 2 houses. It's busy. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Is it too much, Tracy?
No, and no.
What are you laughing? What are you laughing at?
Just how silent it was.
Everybody's digesting the information.
Which option did you click on before this to get to this page?
Oh, you go to reports,
Reports, and then which one?
and then down at the very bottom, it says target market analysis.
So this is paid.
No,
Yes,
it is paid. You have to
I think so.
I don't pay for showing time.
Showing time was, maybe that was with Metro Text, but the showing time was free as long as you were on the buyer's side. And after a
Oh,
listing,
yeah, I don't have that.
You don't have
to
it?
do like,
Yeah,
I don't
if
know,
there's-
$25 a
Right,
month.
you have to have a paid membership to access this.
Is it really? Okay. Okay. Well, I wasn't aware of that because I apparently paid them, but I didn't know that I paid them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I
But we
don't
can
know
use
buyer's
your
side.
membership.
Huh?
Buyers
We don't use your
login.
login.
Absolutely. I'll give you my login.
Yeah.
I don't think I paid.
Well, so it depends.
If I paid, I don't make it.
You know what? I will do research on this and put it on Slack. I will find out if you have to have a paid membership to get the target.
Yeah, I will before using Broker Bay. I would pay per listing.
Yep.
And that's it.
So
And that's what it is.
It's paid though. I
But
mean,
well, per listing.
Right.
Once you're paying for a listing on showing time, you get access.
Right.
Yeah.
Just for.
Even though I don't have listing, I mean, I do have a listing, but not through showing time right now.
Me either. I do everything through Broker Bay.
Right.
I could have sworn that was the.
I will call showing time and find out.
Yeah.
I would take
I
it.
know, like, so, because Central Texas showing time is free with your MLS
Uh-huh.
membership for listing and buying. North Texas is not that way, so I
Yeah,
just
no.
never signed up for it.
Okay.
So that's why I don't have it.
You don't have it. Okay. So I need to find out why that's occurring. Why you don't have it.
That's why I was asking
But
about.
here's the other part of it. If you guys don't have it and it's not on your showing time, just come see me. We'll do it together. I don't care. Meet 15 minutes before a meeting or virtually. I'll meet you if you need to talk about it at 5:00 at night.
I do
virtually.
this every Monday morning. If I have a listing that's not selling, I pull comps and this, and I email that over every Monday morning.
That's great.
It's just like giving a weekly update because especially when listings aren't getting traction that people want,
Hmm.
you're seeing real live stats.
Data.
But
So-
I guess this is more off of like based on showings, based on price, not necessarily comps, like, oh, well, this is a comparable home.
Right.
Yeah.
Just in general.
You're just looking at a snapshot of the whole
Yeah.
neighborhood.
It's like, it
This is-
doesn't really matter what the home is. It's
Right.
like, this is where people, this is the price people are flocking to.
Okay, so
Help dial down, you can find like which houses are showing.
here's what I'm gonna do.
For sale.
Here's what I'm gonna do.
See
can
those
figure it out.
houses.
I'm gonna put in a zip code. And here's one caveat that you guys need to be aware of. When you type in a zip code, you have to go down and click it. You can't just click enter. It doesn't do anything. So, and then the same thing goes for the subdivision. So when you put in Foster Village, you'll see that I have Foster Village. I can't just hit enter at this point. I actually have to move my mouse and click Foster Village Edition. Then I can look at the last 30 days and there is the houses that have shown in that neighborhood in Foster Village and between 325 and 425. Then you can go back 60 days and 90 days. Why is it not giving me that? Please choose a time span less than 3 months. Well, I am. Okay, so go back to 60, then 90. It's not going to give it to me. Okay, so, because there was a weird day there. Hang on. There it is. So there is the last 90 days of showing time, and then I can see this. Now, if you go down the page, you can see the actual showings that have occurred. Now, this is a very confusing number here because between 325 and 330, there have been 28 showings with a 9.33 showing average per house. Okay. So that tells you something right there, that there were 3 listings. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Then this one here is 33 showings, 11 per month. That tells you exactly what's going on. Showings per listing is 33. Weekly average 2.57 at that price point. Does that make sense? This shows you where the buyers are. Now let's go and have some fun, because this is a real precise neighborhood. I'm going to take you over and show you a little bit more. We're going to actually go into Summerfields, because this is a subdivision that I know, and that's going to be 76137. And we're going to go look at Summerfields. Now, this is where it gets a little bit crazy. You'll notice here on the right-hand side, you have Summerfield Edition, Summerfield Phase 1, Phase 3, Phase 2, Summerfield Edition, all these ones. If you want to know what's going on in the subdivision, you have to go through and click each one of these, and you have to do it one at a time. Okay? So I'm going to put Summerfield Edition, then I'm going to have to go back and type Summerfield again. Hit the Phase 1 or Summerfields. But this will actually give us some really good data for us to look at. I'm not going to use East. I'm going to use just the Summerfield. One and Phase 3, and then we're going to look at the last 30 days. That is between 325 and 425. There's your numbers. Now, but Summerfields has a lot more price ranges than just that $100,000 window. So let's go down to 250, and we're going to have to go up to 475. But you'll notice that showing time tells me that I have to put in, see that those red letters? Please select an increment greater than 11,250. So I'm going to do my own research and narrow this down. I'm using it like a dartboard, starting with a big target and then go down to the bullseye. So I'm going to start at 25,000, and then I'm going to submit. There's where the houses are showing. So between 325 and 350 is your biggest price point that shows in Summerfields. If I want to get real precise, then I can say, okay, 325 to 350. Okay, that makes sense. So let me go back. I think this house is going to be between 300 and 375. And then I can go and say last 60 days, this is where the houses are actually showing. Now, let me actually take this down to $10,000 and submit. Now I can really see, I can start zeroing in on where the buyers are. So if I'm torn between 325 and 345, I can tell you 345 only got 340 to 350 only got 10 showings in that 60 days. But these other two were getting over 100 showings for that 320 to 330 price point. That tells me a lot about what the neighborhood is doing and what the buyers are looking for. So I zero down as much as I can, and then I can prove to you, yes, I think your house is worth 345. However, looky here, at 345, we're only going to get 10 showings in 60 days. If we price it just $5,000 less at 340, if we go 339.9, we have the ability to get 80 showings instead of 10. So yes, I think your house is worth 345. However, I think if we price it at 339.9, we will get a lot more people coming through. And here's the thing, when buyers are coming through your house and Mr. Buyer 1 is here and Mr. Buyer 2 is waiting on the step and Mr. Buyer 3 is in the driveway, Buyer 1 says, you know what, let's give them 340. Let's give them 345. Let's give them 350. That creates that multiple offer situation. It's a call to action. It really is. So does that all make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Okay, just checking Gracie. So that's how we do that. No, you're just newer. You're newer than some other people. So I want to make sure that it makes sense to you and what you're hearing. So all makes sense? Okay, then I'm going to jump off of that now, and we're going to go to Find Your PID, because Find Your PID is pretty cool too. Virtual people, I'm going to stop sharing this screen for a second, and then I'll come back to you in just a second. And let me jump up here.
While Brian's doing that, does everybody get the concept that he's talking about with pricing just below where the comps are to get the traction kind of thing? Okay, experience agents are saying that nuts. This is something that comes up often when people get listings. Like, well, they want to price it here. How do I have this argument? Right? Good. Okay.
Thank you, Tanner. I didn't say that.
You're good.
Maybe I implied that, but I'm not good at the little details like that.
That's why we do this.
Okay, let me go back up here and present web people. Give me just a second to find where my mouse is. Oh, there it is. Okay.
And while he's doing that too, those of you guys without access to this, I would just mess around with broker-based analytics tools, and you can dial into something kind of close to it. It's not great right now, but as broker-based, like widely adopted across North Texas, it's going to be very, very good. And same thing with Real Scout. If you look at Real Scout right now, you're going to have somewhere between 50 and 200 buyers represented if you pull this in the Real Scout a heat map thing, which is not ideal. It's significantly under where you want it to be, but it's a data point. So if you don't have the paid version or access to this report, there's a couple other ways around it.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead, please.
I'm wondering, because for whatever reason, showing time wasn't working for me on Sunday when I was trying to run that report for my listing. So I went to Broker Bay and it was not even like what.
Yeah, you have to go to, it's going to give you different data, but you have to go into that report deal and then dial it into to change the scale of the time. You know, they'll do like a rolling 30 days, like a 365 days, and then a week or a daily deal. If you tinker with that enough, you can get some information, but it's not like it's like, you know how that's a weird metaphor. It's just of this. It's like the LaCroix version.
Well, mine was actually flip flop. Mine was Broker Bay said there was like 4 showings per listing, and this is showing 0.
Yeah.
On showing time.
But it's also because people are now using.
That's
Broker
what we were
Bay.
talking about.
So
like-
you may have to cost mingle
Yeah.
these depending on, because like I only use Broker Bay now because it's free. I mean,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we, right? Why would I pay $45 a month to showing time and that's owned by Zillow? Why would I do that? Okay, so Maria and I were talking a couple of weeks, 2.5 weeks ago, and talking about what a PID is, a public improvement district. So one of the ways that we were able to go and locate this is by going into the tax records. And I want to show you, it's not hard to find. And I probably made a bigger deal out of this than what I should have, but I want you to be able to see this. So I have a listing in Heritage, which is 76244, that's closing Friday. It's on Bacon. So it's actually Heritage subdivision. I worked Heritage. My office was Remax Heritage for a long time. And so I was working in that, never dealt with any PIDs. So it surprised me after I was already under contract and pending that to go back and look at my listing and go, crap, I've got a PID. I got to call this agent that I've had a problem with to start with and tell her, hey, I've got another form that we need to disclose to you that there is a PID. And then to have that conversation of, yes, the taxes that you were told from the title company and that are on the tax records do include this number for the PID, but you are paying $600 and X for a PID at this house. So I'm going to show you that real quick. Okay, so this is 4913 Bacon. You guys can see that I'm pulling this up. And so this is what my house looks like. And so I was going through here, Mary on my way to get this thing listed, get it under contract, and then this PID popped up. So I'm going to show you where to go find the PID. So, and I may have to share this tab instead, which I do. Give me a second, virtual people. And you should be able to see the tax record. Okay, so when you go through this, you go through the tax record, and I hope you all saw how I got there. There's a little TX underneath the picture that gets you directly to the tax records on MLS. So from here, you go down and go to where the taxes are, and they show you the taxes. And if you guys will notice right there, there's a Fort Worth Public Improvement District. See it? Here's your PID. Now, if you're in a mud, you may not have that, but it should show. It should, but it's not. I can't guarantee 100% that it's going to be there every time. Because Trophy Club has mud, And I've seen houses in Trophy Club not have this on there.
Same thing with Heritage, not all of them have that.
Not all of them have it. You found some that didn't. I went back, and another way that you can test this theory of if there's a PID or not is to go through the MLS and look at the closed listings, go to transaction desk and look at the forms that those agents submitted there. Because if you find a PID in there, time to start looking, time to dig. If you find a PID in a neighborhood, I know I had the same look on my face when you start out. As soon as Maria and I had this conversation, I had to go pick up the kid from school. I'm driving home from school going, crap, I need to go check all my other listings and make sure that if there's a PID or not.
Do you feel like that's a form we should have? Mud, PID, utilities?
That we should have.
I mean, just as we present a listing, I mean, just like a
Oh,
square footage.
Check a box if
listing.
you
Yeah.
pay these fees.
You know what I mean?
I don't see why that shouldn't be in your listing agreement. Listing package.
And I just think that's another safeguard.
And mud is for sure.
I know there's a
It's too,
mud.
but it's on the disclosure.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
ship them up there.
But the PID has become a big deal in the last 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah.
So this is how you find your PID.
And so if there is a PID, it just means you pay a little bit more taxes.
Maybe, yeah, you
Like to
pay,
explain to like a buyer,
Yeah.
if it's like, oh, this.
you have to disclose that there's a PID to a buyer.
Yeah.
And so I didn't disclose that when I took this house under contract. And so then I had to go back and eat a little crow and explain to her, this other agent, hey, there is a PID. I was not aware. Here's the form. And of course, my seller,
And a buyer, is that like a big deal to a buyer?
the taxes are already
Or-
figured. Because when you put your MLS listing in, it pulls the taxes automatically. So it's there.
Yeah.
It's just that you're disclosing that part of those taxes are paid.
Or the specific?
This specific thing, the PID.
I mean, it is gonna be pulled in title work as well.
But
it's
what a
not
bad
for
time to
anyone
find
be
out.
worried.
Yeah, no.
More taxes. I'm just
Just add extra layers.
So if you're doing a listing, I think it's worth your time to go ahead and do the research. You're doing the research on comps. Might as well know if there's a PID.
I'm actually surprised that Heritage had it.
That's what I just told her. I was
What?
like, that's surprising me.
I was surprised that Heritage had it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know,
I
I
know that
did.
Park Glen has it.
Yeah.
I know that one does,
well,
but I was,
But is
there's
that all
so
of
many that I
Heritage?
sold there.
she said she found some that are not in the
Yeah,
PID.
some of them.
Well, because I know, like, I sold one on Duncan Way and it
That's
is
right
a
around the corner.
part of it.
Yeah, that's around the corner from Bacon.
Ours didn't, some
So
is,
down, so
isn't.
down, yep.
Well, and if you go and look at the 100-year floodplain, parts of Heritage are in a floodplain.
It is.
Really?
Some of the houses on the west side
Yeah, on the west
are, they're in a floodplain. You have to have flood insurance.
Yep.
I sold one for some people. Yeah, that was a fun thing to
Yeah, that
do.
was that is a
Good job.
lot right there.
And once you're under contract and then you discover you're in a 100-year floodplain on the appraisal,
It matters.
yeah, it matters. Okay, so that's one thing that you guys can keep in mind. I have through the years, 2 other things that have come up. It's the floodplain, and you can actually go and find that information online. Another thing that you probably need to be thinking about is underground gas lines. Some people don't want to live on a gas line, understandably, but most people don't care. It's kind of like having electrical lines. There is a map that I can give you access to. If you ever run into that problem, come see me and I'll send you the map. I have an actual map that shows every well dug in the state of Texas and where it goes.
I want it.
Yeah, I do want it too. I've never had that come up, so.
Yep. And it will, especially for you guys in Parker County.
Yeah.
But yes, it shows where the well is, if it's a dead well, if it's a dry hole. But if they're angle drilling or we call it horizontal drilling, that shows you where they went in and how far they went. It's very cool, but it'll confuse the crap out of you if you're just looking at it the first time. It's like too much information. So you really have to zero down. The reason that I ran into that is in Saginaw, there's neighborhoods, Remington Point.
How did you run into that?
Yeah.
It's all come from major problems. in traffic.
Yes, I've been through a couple of them, but these people have on one part of Remington Point, everybody's got these really large backyards and you're like, this is really cool. It goes from here probably to that brick building there, it's a large backyard. And my buyers are like, why is it like that? And I'm like, I start looking around, I'm looking over the fences and I start seeing little markings. And I'm like, there's a gas line here, I'll bet you. And so I went back and found the map on the web, and there's a major gas line that goes directly, natural gas line that goes through that.
Was
area.
was it on the survey?
Yeah, it was on the survey, but we were just looking at it at Byron.
Yeah.
And they were like, I said, do you want to put an offer? They're like, no, we're a gas line, I don't.
Yeah.
What happens if it blows up? Well, it's way down there.
Yeah.
It's been there for a long time. Well, then I really don't want to live there. You know, it's kind of like the same thing when some buyers you walk into and they look up at the backyard and they've got the electrical lines and they're like, nope, sorry.
I had those.
Talking 13 acres with EMF freezers on Sunday.
Really? Were you really? Wow. So interesting things. Okay.
People are trying to get off.
Did you, for the newbies, did you want to tell them the flood map is in, MLS?
Say again?
The-
Yes, the flood map is on in MLS. You can see the flood map.
It's on the. Sorry. So, yeah.
I'll show it to them. I'll show it to them on this side. Guys online, I'm going to stop sharing this one and start sharing the other one. Give me just a second. Hit the wrong button. I can't find my mouse. I see it down here. There it is. Okay, I got it. Hang on. Present. A tab. That one. Share. Okay. Yay. Okay, we're back. All right. So if you guys look on your MLS right here across the top, you've got a small tax record that's available to you, and you can see some of the things that are in there. But the thing that I look at is when I printed this, does it have the PID in there? Yep, it does right there. See it? There's the PID. I should have seen it, but Brian didn't. So, hey, everybody alone. But you guys can go over here and look at the flood map right here, and it will show you. There it comes. And there is the flood map. And then you can zoom out and to see what areas are denoted X and AE and all these other things here. The other parts over here. I sold one of the houses right. Right there. Right along here. And they move it from time to time. So you need to check that when you're doing your listing stuff.
They 10 years ago, they redid that under them, and it just completely screwed a lot of stuff was just nonsensical, and the time it takes to go back and write that, like the challenge, the power of FEMA, it's a nightmare. And flood insurance is not just like, oh, hey, it's $15 a month, like whatever.
No, it can offset your GCI.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did.
Good card.
I had a house in Garland that set in the 100-year floodplain, and I think the flood insurance was like $3,500 a year. So it was a deal breaker.
Yeah, that's significant. That's significant for sure.
I thought that we were able to go into the city and they can do the surveying, whatever they have, and get a certificate where for the last 50 years, there hasn't been any, it's like flooding.
I've heard that it's possible, but it's not just a simple process.
I mean,
In my lake house, they did it. They got the house taken out of the floodplain, but it was, he said, awful.
I mean, it should reflect on the survey, but if you use a survey that's 10 years old, then you're gonna run into that.
Yeah.
And now that we can do that, it makes it harder.
Okay, let me take you back to Matrix and we'll go back over here. Okay, so to recap what we kind of figured out. You know how to drill down now on the listing using the fish finder. You're able to see, and this is like I tell my sellers when I'm doing this work for them, I tell them, look, I'm drawing a dartboard and I'm starting this big. But what I'm really trying to figure out is who's going to buy your house and what price are they willing to do that based on the comps, based on the buyers that are out there, because the buyers that are out there are experiencing the same interest rates that our buyer is going to experience. So I want to zero in and tell you exactly what somebody's going to be willing to pay for this. If I can get my sellers, again, I'm going to use my example. If 345 is where I think it'll appraise, I know, Mr. Seller, I can argue $345,000 all day long with an appraiser. I've got the comps to prove it. However, looking at my fish finder, I don't think that a buyer is going to pay that. So if we could, based on the fish finder, 339 might get us 80 showings. We have the ability to get so many more showings than somebody at 345 does. Does that not make sense to get more people through here? Because if people don't see it, they can't afford it. If they can't see it, they can't buy it. And then the other conversation that I have in that same, it's a paragraph inside that conversation, is I say, we have to also talk about breakpoints. So nobody goes and gets a mortgage for 340. Nobody goes and gets approved for 360. People go get approved for 325, 350, 375, 400, 450, 500. They do it in bulk increments. That's the way it works. So if we're going to be at let's just say this house was going to be at 355 is where I could appraise it at. Nobody's going to, if you price your house at 355, now you're looking at a 375 buyer, because there are agents out there that do not add a little bit when their buyer is approved at 350. They don't add that extra $10,000. Well, they don't, but they don't. So if we price this house at 355, we're going to miss some of the $350,000 buyers. However, if you can stand it, pricing it at 349 gives us 375 and also gives us 350. If an agent's worth their salt and they've got somebody that they know can pay 340, they're putting a 350, 355 in their search criteria as the top end, because that way they can see exactly what's above where they're qualified for. And an agent that knows these things, they go, you know what? I know that you want to spend 350, but what you want is 375. So I'm going to put 380 for your top end number. And here's what it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you about $7 for every 1,000 that you borrow above that 350. So if you're borrowing 370, $20,000, you're talking about $140. Is it worth $140 a month for you to live in your dream house as opposed to what you're looked at right now? Good theory. Okay. Finding your PID. It's underneath. Go here where it says TX, right above the photo. Hit that button and it'll take you over to the realist fact scroll, and that way you can see if the PID is there or not. If you have a question, like Maria did, she texted me and goes, can you help me find this PID? Is there a PID on this house? We went and looked it up and we found it. Don't hesitate. That's what Tanner and I are here for, is to help you find these things out. It's 11 o'clock. You guys are welcome to go. You're welcome to stay. I don't think there's another meeting here, but that's it for today. Experienced agents, just want to give y'all a little bit of a buzz coming up. I am getting certified for Pathway to Mastery Essentials, which I've looked at some of the stuff and you're going to dig it. It's really cool. Probably going to run it concurrent with the 100 Days to Greatness that I announced this week. 100 Days to Greatness for everybody that's, I think John and Becca and a couple other people out of Bell County said they wanted to do this. Anybody that hasn't taken 100 Days to Greatness and you want to get really, really good at the basics, knowing how to work your database, knowing what you're doing in that database and why you're doing it. 100 Days to Greatness will start August, the first week school starts, so it's like August 16th, I think is when we're going to start. That'll run every Wednesday up through Christmas. Pathway to Mastery is a shorter class. It's 8 weeks, and that will start probably September. I haven't got it scheduled out yet, but that'll be like on Tuesdays. So Pathway to Mastery will be Tuesday, 100 Days to Greatness will be Wednesday. And did everybody see the notice about Lunch and Learn? Lunch and Learn series starts next week, but it's not really a Lunch and Learn next week. It's just a class. But then the week after that, there'll be lunch every Wednesday all within the summer up until 100 Days to Greatness.
And the ones that they come in, could we get CE credit for them?
Sometimes.
For what now? For CE? Okay, so I'm putting, if they are offering CE, I'm putting it on the calendar event. So watch your 6-tab calendar, because yes, some of them are going to $5 CE for an hour of CE. You can't beat that. So a lot of these are going to be CE. Some of them, like one of them is Chat GPT, using that in your business. So if you haven't used Chat GPT, which I haven't, so I'd like to learn a little something about it. But
Technology.
What is that?
it's an AI, artificial intelligence, where you can put in, go to Chat GPT on the web and put in Maria Gonzalez, 6th Avenue Homes, and see what it pulls up. it'll write a paragraph about
Oh,
you.
that's the.
It's kind of cool, but we need to know how to use it. That's the thing. We need to know how to use it in our business. So I think that's going to be a good class. We're doing ABCs, Trek 1 to 4. There's the next week is really good because it's planning zoning stuff and short-term rentals, which we have a lot of questions about short-term rentals. So that was the first class that I could get scheduled for us. So we can learn a little something about short-terms.
Yes, it is.
So we've got a lot of learning coming up all the way to the end of the year. Every Wednesday is scheduled now up through Christmas. So thank you for Wednesdays. Experienced agents will be looking at Tuesdays as well for you guys, if you have time.
Can I send you an address?
Shoika? For Big Finder?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Just tell it to me.
It's 5733 Water Drive.
Okay. You guys are welcome to jump off. Oh, everybody jumped off except Ashley. Bye, Ashley.
Honestly, fine. Well, a lot of it is from you know, as you talk, I just guys.
5733.
Okay, cool. I'll be back.
Is it yeah, of course.
It's not on.
It's not on MLS? Okay. Okay, so what I do for this, Danielle, I don't know if you do it this way, but I'm going to show you. I go back and actually pull up the closed times of that house. Okay, you do that. Okay, cool. Okay, so that is Wedgwood. Okay, so let's go to the fish finder here. I got to share this screen. And I'm assuming that it's probably going to be, they bought it for $329 in 2022. $355. I see it now. I'm looking at it here. $355. So you need to know what price range you could sell it for today. Okay. So I'm going to look at what I would do is $325, probably up to $450 to start with and see if I can get there. And let me take this out. That is 76133. Okay, let me get rid of these over here. Well, I need to stop the recording.
I just I've done a meeting. He likes meetings.
All about meetings.